Dear friends, I'll be presenting my talk on rotator cuff repair by a double row double pulley technique. We all know today that orthopedics is all about restoration of anatomy, and certainly the rotator cuff repair is no exception to the rule. If you see this particular slide, we all know that there are four muscles: the supraspinatus above, the subspinatus behind, and as well as the teres minor. And the goal of surgery is to restore the footprint. And as you can see, the footprint is the AP dimensions are 2.5 centimeter and the mediolateral is 1.2 to 1.7 centimeters. So there are various classifications of the rotator cuff tear. All of them help us in planning our case better. This is one classification which is based on the length of the greatest diameter of the tear. And according to this, the tears are classified into small when there are less than 1 centimeter, medium when there are 1 to 3 centimeter, large when there are 3 to 5 centimeter, and massive when there are more than 5 centimeter. And these massive tears are also associated with more than 2 tendon tears. So this helps in planning as well as in the prognosis of the case, depending upon the size of the tear. So the diagnosis of a rotator cuff tear is based again on a detailed history, the detailed physical examination, and the chief complaints of the patients in a rotator cuff are pain and the loss of power, especially in forward flexion, in a case of supraspinatus tear, which is one of the commonest tear associated with the rotator cuff. And whatever you form a clinical picture based on your history and physical examination, it is confirmed by imaging. We have got very good 3 Tesla MRIs these days with dedicated shoulder coils, and which give us a very good insight. So these MRI classification, there are based on, again, there is based on the amount of retraction of the tendon. It's Patte's classification. Grade 1 when there is not much retraction, grade 2 when the rotator cuff is retracted till the humeral head, and grade 3 when it is retracted till the level of the glenoid. Again, this classification is very useful, as the higher the grade, the poorer becomes the prognosis and more difficult it becomes to bring the rotator cuff back. And then we have the Gottler's classification. This is based on the amount of fatty infiltration of the muscle. And in grade, if there are fatty infiltration is grade 1, 2, again, these have got a better prognosis than the grade 3, 4 classification, where in grade 4, the whole of the muscle is replaced by fat. So these are some of the MRI images which show the amount of retraction. The middle one shows that it is on its just not much retracted, whereas the lowest one shows that it has been retracted right till the level of the glenoid. So treatment, it depends on so many factors, and treatment, it could be indeed it is for care and during surgery. It is very important, this concept of rotator cable, which has been given to us by Stephen Boucard. And it is basically, this rotator cable is a condensation of the capsule, the coracohumeral ligaments, and it has got attachments anteriorly to the supraspinatus and the biceps, and posteriorly it is attached to the infraspinatus. And the aim of the surgery is that if you restore this cable, that will result in good function. It acts on a suspension bridge principles, that if you restore the pillars, then they are important for the movement and the power to be generated. So the surgical treatment is dependent on so many factors: the age and the demand on the patient, the younger the patient and the more active that fits into the category of surgical management. Then complaints, whether the chief complaint is pain or inability to raise the arm, and again, whether there are tears are traumatic or degenerative. The traumatic tears, they need an early, especially in a young patient, they need an early surgical intervention, in contrast to a degenerative tears in an old patient, where you can give a trial of conservative treatment before resorting to the surgical management. And again, imaging, that gives you a roadmap to your planning as to where the tear is, where it is retracted, the amount of fatty degeneration, and all these factors helping in planning your so the goals of a rotator cuff surgery are to restoration of forces both in as well as in restoration of the biomechanics, and which ultimately results in restoration of the function of the shoulder. So these are some of the broad principles which are followed while doing a rotator cuff tear. The initial thing is the bursectomy. Then it is followed by a bony bed preparation so that the tendon to bone healing can take place. After that, you assess the tear, see the morphology of the tear, whether it is reducible or which end will footprint is the key to the surgery. And again, it is important to restore the tension within the rotator cuff. So important is the restoration of proper tendon length relationship is very important. And ultimately, it has to be a tension-free fixation for the rotator function to return. And then there are biological considerations like growth factors which are generated by doing acromioplasty as well as by doing microfracture in the surgery. So this is the arthroscopic classification of the tears, and the type 1 are the simplest and the most commonest, and these are the crescent shaped tears. Then type 2 are the U-shaped tears, or L, or the reversed L-shaped tears, and type 3 are the massive require a lot of releases before you can attempt a surgical reconstruction, and type 4 are the which are associated with rotator cuff arthropathy. So I'll show you now a video of our technique. This is a double row technique with a double pulley, and this was a patient which had a trauma over a degenerative tear. So at the first step, we knock off the biceps, assess whether there is any subscapularis loss, which was not in this particular case. Then we come to the bursal side of the tear, and the first step is, as I said, bursectomy. Bursectomy helps in making the area clear so that you can visualize your tendons properly, and moreover, some of the degradable enzymes which are present, they are taken away once you have done a cleared the area and bursectomy has been done. And the aim is to get the area clean. Reusability of the tear, it has to be as I said, a tension-free repairs, and you have to assess in all directions. So this is a crescent-shaped tear, and as you can see, it is reducible. So now we are clearing the bony bed, the area where the footprint has to come, and this area first is treated by cautery, then shaver, and then we can use multiple fractures so that the bone marrow elements come out. The growth factors, they all help in the healing of the tendon to bone. So these are some of the microfracture that we routinely do. And once this is done, then we insert the medial row anchor. This is the posteromedial anchor, which has a pair of fiber tape and fibro wire, and this is being inserted into its position close to the cartilage junction. And so it has got, as you can see, the fiber tapes which are retrieved through the lateral portal, and then with the antegrade passing, this is the scorpion that we use, and it is important to take the bite 2 to 3 millimeter from the musculotendinous junction, and then this fiber tape is retrieved from a posterior portal, Now this is it is being retrieved from the posterior portal. And next again, the fiber wire one by one, they are retrieved, and similar through 2 to 3 millimeters from the musculotendinous junction. And again, they are retrieved from the posterior portal. So this is another last fiber wire from this particular anchor, and it has been bite taken and again similarly retrieved. Now we are making, this is the this is the again the medial rope portal, the enteromedial, and again the same process is repeated. You take a fiber tape first and take the first bite through the rotator cuff tendon, and this will restore the anterior part of the rotator cable. And similarly, with the rest of the two fiber wires, similar bites are taken, and these are retrieved from an anterior portal. So once all these bites are taken, you can see there are multiple bites which have been taken through the rotator cuff, and all of these add to the overall strength of the construct. So these are the multiple bites, multiple sutures, and next one fiber tape from anterior and one from the posterior. It is retrieved, and now the bony bed that you have prepared on the lateral side, we bring it there, and we prepare, as you can see, by anchor, and as you can see, the cuff is being drawn towards this lateral row anchor. So it completely covers the footprint of the rotator cuff area is covered by this. And the similar process is repeated for the second lateral row anchor. Again, one fiber tape from anterior and one from posterior, and the same process is repeated. This is another lateral row anchor, and as you can see, and now we do a double pulley technique in for one fiber retrieved outside, we over the rotator cuff. Uh, as you can see, this is the knot which has come, and then the rest of the two fiber wires are also retrieved outside, and they again 6 knots are tied over. These are the two fiber wires being removed, retrieved, and now this is another knot. So this is a double row, double pulley type of technique, which uh, adds great strength to our overall construct and makes it a very robust type of fixation. So this is the end result. As you can see, very nicely, the rotator cuff has been compressed very well over the area of the footprint. And this is basically a double row technique where we have restored the anatomy of the cuff. And so this is the end result, and we can assess for the fixation of which appears to be quite perfect in this case. So this is another U-shaped tear in which we apply the principles of marginal convergence, where one bite is taken from the anterior and one from the posterior leaf of the rotator cuff. And this principle of marginal convergence permits us to avoid shearing forces at the rotator cuff, because if we try to bring this stuff to the bony bed without doing marginal convergence, it will place a lot of stress on the repair. So here we apply these principles of marginal convergence, where the two leaflets, they converge towards each other and finally towards the bone. And these are with the scorpion, we pass one bite through each of these leaflet, anterior and the posterior, and then they are tied. And as you can see, this gap is gradually closing. And similar, again, we take another bite from each of these two, anterior and the posterior, that is supraspinatus and the infraspinatus. And and closed. And now after that, then the it proceeds in a similar manner, the rest of the repair in a similar manner as demonstrated earlier by the double row and the double pulley technique. So the take-home message is that every rotator cuff has got a unique personality, and one must assess the tear pattern and the mobility, and ultimately you have to plan a tension-free repair so that there is restoration of anatomy, and you add to the repair by doing some microfractures and acromioplasty so that some growth factors are released. Yes, thank you so much for your kind attention.